Back by popular demand, it's Film Focus with Real Vision. And look who it is, it's Emily Cook again. On the show this week, we are talking about cinematography, exhibitions and great expectations. But who have we got as our guest?
Well, this week at Film Focus with Real Vision, as you know, we like to shine a light on the variety of roles within the film and television industry. And our guest this week is no exception. We're joined by professional cinematographer John Craine. So, John, thank you for joining us today.
You're very welcome.
Can you explain to us in layman's terms what exactly a cinematographer does?
Yeah, the cinematographer is basically in charge of everything visual on the film project.
So everything that comes through the camera? Exactly.
So it's lighting and camera. Normally, cinematographers operate the camera these days, though in times past, you would have a separate camera operator. But it's basically your job as the cinematographer to tell the story visually.
This week you're actually running a workshop, though, to teach people about cinematography, aren't you?
That's right, yeah, for the MannIN short scheme. Basically, it's going to start off as a very, very basic nuts and bolts introduction to cinematography, because a lot of the people who've signed up for it have absolutely no background in it, so it's important for them to understand the basics before you move on to the slightly more complicated stuff. We're going to do a series of them, one of which will be a bit boring. It's going to be a photo theory class, but it's just stuff people need to know.
It's necessary stuff as the building blocks to build up from these foundations, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, without knowing some basic photo theory, you can't do all the exciting stuff and tell a story visually if you can't balance light sources and that type of thing. It's
going to be fantastic. I'm going to take advantage of the one this week, definitely, and then I look forward to partaking in the future ones as well. We've spoken before about MannIN Shorts as a filmmaking scheme, providing opportunities for people who maybe have no experience of any age. It's open to everybody. Do you feel it provides an important platform on the island for anyone interested in getting involved?
Absolutely. It would be the first port of call if you were considering, pursuing any sort of interest, whether, that's something that you kind of enjoy doing in your spare time or the first step in the road to making filmmaking your career. I think it's a fantastic place to start.
I certainly enjoy everything to do with MannIN Shorts over here, including the film festival, obviously, which is a fantastic outlet for us to show the work that we've produced as a community.
Absolutely.
So, John, you look like you're wrapped up pretty warm today. Are you wearing your thermals?
I'm not wearing my thermals.
Because I heard you're off to Siberia shortly.
Correct.
What's that about?
I'm off to Siberia on the 30th of December. Seeing a friend of mine in Moscow for New Year, and then we leave Moscow for Siberia on the 4th of January, and we're there for a month.
What are you doing there?
I'm shooting a documentary about people at train stations. It's being produced by 5 teams, so 5 crews, small documentary crews. My crew is just myself, the director and the sound recordist. And then each crew makes a short documentary on a different aspect of life in Siberia and what it is to be a Russian citizen living there, and all the contradictions and emotions and characteristics of those people. And then they're put into a feature together. And a couple of years ago that they did a similar film but not in winter, and it won a prize at Cannes, so fingers crossed that we can do that. It sounds
a fascinating structure. How are you going to cope with the cold?
Well, I'm not going to have very many interesting Christmas presents this year. I think it's mainly going to be thermal underwear.
Yes. Sew yourself into it.
Indeed. But they're providing us with these special, outer suits that look almost like space suits, and special boots.
Brilliant. You'll have to take some photographs for us.
I will.
And also seeing the resulting film will be really interesting. Sometimes, once you remove yourself from the everyday, maybe mundane, one is able to open oneself up more creatively to produce a piece of work by changing environment.
Definitely. Well, I mean, it's the fresh pair of eyes, isn't it? If you wanted to make a documentary about the Isle of Man, getting some Manx people to make it probably wouldn't be the best idea. No. You'd get somebody who all the things that seem mundane to us are exciting to them, and I think they would be the best people for it.
Obviously, you've had a great deal of experience as a cinematographer, but for people who are interested in what you've been saying today, how would you suggest that they go about pursuing a career in cinematography?
I would say the best place to start is with a stills camera. It was just take loads of photographs. You're always framing, you're thinking about exposure, and Ideally, I'd say do it on film if you can, because there's just a lot more to think about there, and you see your mistakes more. And then if you enjoy it, I'd say go and, join a group like MannIN Shorts. And then, I mean, for a cinematographer, if you really know that's what you want to do, I'd advise going to film school after that.
You went to the London Film School, didn't you?
Yes, that's right. Which was fantastic for me. I think not all areas of filmmaking require you go to film school. Lots of people have become very successful directors, not having had any formal education in it, or production designers or editors and that type of thing. But I think really most of the cinematographers I know, they went to film school, because it's just a load of technical stuff you need to learn. But that's not to say it's the only way. I mean, of course, that would be my advice, but it's like everything in the film industry. There's no set way for
There's
anything.
no set way at all. But that's what we love about it, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us, John, this week on Film Focus with Real Vision. And you've shone a light on the role of the cinematographer on the film set. We hope to have you back sometime in the future.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, John.
That's Aerosmith and Run DMC on Saturday Night Live. Thanks very much to John for popping in for this week's Film Focus. So, Emily, what is going on the Isle of Man, film-wise? I like asking that question, because I know you'll give me the answer.
Yeah, well, hopefully. Well, as we mentioned last week, Dom Hemingway is the 100th film to be shot as part of Isle of Man Film. And as a result of that, Mike Reaney from Isle of Man Film has actually set up exhibition to celebrate it being the 100th film down at the Strand Shopping Centre. And actually Jude Law paid it a visit the other day.
I saw a photograph. He got about a bit when he was over, didn't he?
He did, yes. They were doing some filming in Ramsey as well at one of the pubs.
Did you ever get a chance to meet him? Did you cross paths?
I've been so very busy.
I couldn't fit him into my hectic schedule. Speaking of which, what have you been up to this week then?
I'm actually working next week with Dave Armstrong, who runs Dan Productions with Christy DeHaven, Bev Lawley, who runs Exile casting agency over here, Simon Harris, who has his own production company, and Danny Lacey's coming over from the UK as well. Oh, as well as John Craine, who was our guest this week. And we're basically working on a pilot, which I can't say much more than that about it. But if we pull it off and it gets picked up by people, it could lead to really big things. So that should be really good to get everybody together and working, because that's what filmmaking's about. It's about collaboration.
Now, earlier on when John Craine was in, you asked him for his top tip with regards to cinematography. But when it comes to the cinema this week, we need your top tip. What should we be watching?
Well, screening currently nightly at the Palace Cinema is Great Expectations. The Dickens classic tale, Great Expectations, is brought to life by director Mike Newell. He's known for directing Four Weddings and a Funeral, which you might have seen, Ashley.
Of course.
And also Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. The film also stars Ralph Fiennes, who's known for Harry Potter, Schindler's List and The English Patient, Helena Bonham Carter, known for Fight Club, The King's Speech, Sweeney Todd and Alice in Wonderland, and also Jason Fleming, best known for X-Men, Snatch, Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. So basically you've got an amazing cast there, and actually their acting by some people has been described as impeccable in this film.
It must be quite difficult taking on such an iconic book, and obviously this has been done as a TV series before as well. Has it upset many people, do you know, or do people seem to be enjoying it and respecting the fact that it's a 2012 version of the novel?
I think people are respecting it. From the trailers, I haven't had chance to go and see it myself yet, but I really do intend to. We love, as England and America as well, absolutely love period dramas, especially the Dickensian, Victorian London, and it's very spooky looking, and there are elements of the look of Sweeney Todd to it, you know. As an audience, I think there is really an appetite for that kind of thing. But yeah, you're right, it has been maybe done to death with TV series and adaptations. But with the cast and crew that are attached to this, I really do hope that this version creates something a bit different and special.
So that's our one to watch for this week then. But which are the tracks that we've previously recorded up here at Manx Radio Towers with the very good help of Real Vision Film Solutions?
Real Vision.
Real Vision. Which of our tracks would you like to replay this week, Emily Cook?
My choice this week would be Chris Gray's We Fall Down. It was great to film him in the studio, and he had his friend who's a guitarist with him as well.
Yeah, he didn't actually do a cover, so you can't choose a cover of his, but
No,
that
I
was,
can't.
yeah, definitely a standout track on the night, but he's got loads in the pipeline. We had a lovely night that night, didn't we?
Yeah, Luke and Chris created something very special from 2 guitars and 2 microphones that night.
Yeah, it really was special. So let's hear it again. This is Chris Gray on Saturday Night Live with We Fall Down. And don't forget to check out the video on our Facebook page, very kindly filmed by Real Vision Film Solutions.